Now we will discuss about the components of the immunity. Human body, it provides two layers of protection from infectious diseases. One is the non-specific resistance, or we call it as an innate immunity, and the second one is the specific resistance, or we can call it as an adaptive immunity. Innate immunity, it comes from the inaski, meaning to be born, that is, it is an active right from the time the child is born. Hence, we call it as an innate, or that is by birth, immunity. It provides the early lines of defense against the microbes. It is the first line of defense. While the specific or acquired immunity, it is acquired, active after 5 to 6 days of antigen exposure. That is, it is not immediately activated, it takes times to respond. That is, our system, it acquires according to the environment and it shows its response. Antigenic specificity has the ability to remember, that is a memory, which is different for the different types of antigen. That is, the our system or immune system, it recognizes the self from that of the non-self molecules. So immune system, we can divide it into two different halves, that is innate immunity, or also known as natural or native immunity. This immunity is an instant type of immunity. It shows its response immediately. It integrates with that of adaptive type of immunity. While adaptive immunity is an acquired immunity, that is when a person or a system or cell is been exposed to foreign particle, it responds, it recognizes that antigen, it makes necessary changes within itself, and later on when the second encounter happens, it keeps in its memory that this particular type of pathogen was already the cell has interacted with, and it shows its response. So that is, it has, or it waits for few days to show the immune response. But this immune response is accurate, that it is specific, it is auto-regulated depending upon the dose of pathogen. If it has been lowered down, its response is also lower down, and it can also lead to some autoimmune disorders. Immune system, that is innate immunity and adaptive immunity. Innate immunity, it relies on, that is the first line of defense. It is selective but non-antigen specific. That is, it do not recognize any particular type of antigen. So it is a general purpose system. So it is a common system, or it is of primary level of defense. It is like that of a gatekeeper of an adaptive immunity. The cells involved in this innate immunity is, they are macrophages, the dendritic cells, the NK cells means natural killer cells, NKT means natural killer T cells, T cells, gamma delta T cells. These are all involved in the innate immune system. While in case with the adaptive immunity, these are antigen specific immunity, and it is based upon the memory. That is, once the cell is already exposed to that antigen, second time if it enters that antigen, enters the system, it provokes or it activates that immune response, and that immune response is based upon T and B cell dependent. That is, adaptive immunity is comparatively more useful and more specific in nature. Here we can distinguish between adaptive and innate immunity. Characteristics, recognition. In case with innate immunity, it is a broad and specific recognition of conserved molecular pattern. So what it does is, it do not specifically identifies a particular antigen, but it identifies a particular pathogen. So it recognizes a pattern, and based upon that pattern it shows its effect. While adaptive immunity, it is highly specific and its response is against a particular type of antigen. Depending upon the structure, depending upon the component, it shows its response. Diversity, innate immunity, it is limited, while adaptive immunity, it shows a large diversity amongst it, depending upon the type of antigen. Immunogenic memory, innate immunity don't have such type of memory in it, while adaptive immunity, it works on the memory. Innate immunity is not have self foreign discrimination. It do recognizes that. Even adaptive immunity also recognize that genes of receptor. In case with innate immunity, no rearrangement is required, while in case with the adaptive immunity, necessary rearrangement is carried out by the system. Response, innate immunity shows very fast response, in fact within seconds or to the max few minutes, while adaptive immunity, it shows little lethargy, and that response is comparatively very far greater than that of an innate immunity. Adaptive immunity may takes few days to weeks to show the response, as in case with the vaccination. Components, in case with innate immunity, there are different types of components seen. Some of them are mechanical and chemical barriers, phagocytes, natural killer cells, complement cells, acute phase proteins. These are all components of innate immunity. While adaptive immunity, the antibodies, that is T and B cells, and antigen presenting cells, they are the major players of adaptive immunity. Here in this diagram, we can see there are different types of responses shown by immune system. In case with the innate immunity, the preformed cells like macrophages, natural killer cells, neutrophils, dendritic cells, eosinophils, basophils, they are the major players, while T cells and natural killer T cells, they are common in both the systems. These cells, as they are preformed, they show immediate and rapid response to a pathogen. While in case with the adaptive immunity, the response is slow because the cell has to produce the antibodies. So B cells, it produces that antibodies. These antibodies may even activate the T cells, that is helper T cells, CD4 and CD8, which may lead to provoking the other immune system, or it may lead to the degradation of that particular cells. The components of the immunity, in general, most pathogens encountered by an healthy individuals are rapidly cleaned within few days of their entry into the host body by the non-specific type of defense mechanism within a cell, that is innate immunity, much before even the full force of adaptive immune response is unleashed. That is, most microorganisms are quickly cleared within say few days by innate immunity before even the adaptive immunity are activated. Now the immune system, here we can classify them as an innate or non-specific into cellular component dependent or humoral component dependent. Same is true for the adaptive immunity. It is specific, it can be cell mediated or it can be humoral. This we will discuss in next video.